Well, it is. It's like, is this the child in me that's still, hurt, that's talking and thinking like this, or is this the adult in me? The child that's still speaking is super emotional, doesn't understand anything that's going on.
You still have a choice to rewrite your story right now. Blank slate, whoever you were as a kid, now what? I can build myself from scratch again.
What did you, is that the tea
Yeah.
and LaCroix
Yeah.
mix? I feel like you have the weirdest
Or yeah.
mixtures.
Why is that weird? That to me is kind of like Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
Like that has
Yeah,
like
I
a citrusy
guess.
flavor with black tea. That's Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, I feel like that's always your excuse too. Is like, well, it's kind of like this. You're always like, just not it.
I guess if I did like, oh, it's a berry thing, and it's like because it's a something else mixed with tea, I'm saying it's Arnold Palmer. It's just like it's not that far off. Like it's a lemon flavored drink mixed with black tea. So it's like that's the closest I can get to it not being lemonade.
Yeah.
It's like I have a whole half of the product.
Well, and I just remembered, I'm picking on you, but I came up with a brat salad last night. So
Yeah. And that's let's not disclose that we ate that.
it was good. I enjoyed it. It's basically just sausage and salad.
Another thing you would never have in a salad.
You never heard of sausage salad?
No, because it sounds bad too.
And this isn't like when people say salad and it's like noodles,
Right. Right.
like macaroni salad. It's like, it's not a fucking salad. It's macaroni with
That would make
mayo.
more sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
would.
being in that.
Yeah, it would. But no, it was literally in leafy greens.
I'm one of those people that I'm so opposed to meat in salad. I just think it's so.
Even chicken?
Yes, chicken's the worst.
Really?
It just doesn't. I don't know. I get it, and I get why people like. I'm not like it doesn't make any like how some people are like with pineapple on pizza, and they're like it just. There's no way you would get me to eat that. I understand the concept.
Sure.
I just don't like that. It's like there's so many other ways that I would eat those two things, even like separately. For some reason, with it mixed, it's like now you're not getting the best of both situations. The salad gets heated up, so it's like now you're having warm lettuce and warm vegetables, and the meat gets cold and hard. So if like steak is in the salad or chicken's like it's just not hot but not cold and it's firm.
Yeah, you kind of got it. You got a good point there.
It's like, oh, this is not. The only time I do like it is if it's in like a Asian zing type salad, and if it's basically like chicken strips in there, like little pieces of chicken strip. Because then it just tastes like vegetables with like a coated Chinese chicken.
Yeah. Really, I think the only meat that probably works perfectly in it is bacon.
Yes.
Otherwise, like, you're right.
Yeah.
Like the chicken, it's just like, unless you're totally cool with cold chicken, which I don't know. That always just is weird to me. Like,
Yeah.
then otherwise, yeah, it's like your salad's going to get hot, which that sucks.
Yeah.
Or your meat's going to get cold, and that sucks too. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that.
I'd rather just eat them separately.
Yeah.
But I get it. It's like, it's easy. You're getting your protein and a veggie, and it's like still filling. So I like I said, I understand the concept. I understand why it was created, and
I don't know. That brat salad was pretty good.
It was really good.
New creation.
Yeah, it was really good. We've been getting more into like the leafy salad, like just having that.
Yeah, we don't really usually do salads, and lately we have been.
I like it because it seems like you can make more of a meal out of it, especially when we're not doing like rice right now that much. It's hard to make just veggies and a protein or like a meat protein feel like a full meal. To where like you put it in a bowl, it's like, oh, this is a full thing.
We're so used to doing like a rice bowl. We just do rice, meat, and a vegetable. We do that so often that since we're kind of not doing rice or trying not to do a lot of rice right now to see just experimental or whatever, our like staple dinner is gone. so we just don't have the thing to where I feel like, yeah, the like doing the salad and just having like a big bowl of a mixture.
It just fills you up better.
And it's just like, it's simple, quick.
Yeah.
You get your meats, vegetables, and it's like you're on your way. You're done.
And I like it because you don't have to cook it. Like, you don't have to cook. Like, we normally are having to cook the vegetables, cooking the meat, cook everything.
True.
That's kind of nice just to focus on one thing and then just throw it over a bed of lettuce or like with a bed of like with a salad on the side. I've been liking that, just the ease of it. And yeah, like it seems like I'm eating more versus like, oh, I'll have a serving or a portion of broccoli and whatever. But it's like, how much veggies can I cook up and eat to make it like a filling meal?
Well, if you consider just the salad as like the actual leafy greens part as vegetables, it's like, it's actually a lot. Like if you were to cook that much of like broccoli and onion or something like broccoli and mushroom, like, and you were to cook that amount of it, it's like, that'd be a shit ton of vegetables.
Yeah.
But I think the leafy greens, it just doesn't seem like it is a lot.
No.
But when you put it in that way or compare it, it's like, oh, that's actually a lot of vegetables.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else to say about that. I was thinking there's something else, but I feel like I had something that I was going to bring up right away, and it is just gone.
Slipped. Went away.
It was gone.
Oh, I feel like with the food stuff still, we've been trying to go a little bit like less carbs over the last few months just to see. And I feel like we both are really noticing, like, it's what everybody says, and it's annoying because I don't want it to be true, and I want to lie through my teeth and tell you, like, no, rice and sourdough bread's amazing. But it's like, I feel like we both have been noticing weird similarities of just like, ooh, a little bit more lethargic, or, our digestion doesn't seem like it's going as smoothly as it was before. And like, you've been getting headaches more recently.
Yeah. I mean, like, we've been doing the no grains really for like a couple months. And then we've been more
and really
steady with
rice
it.
Too.
Yeah. We've been more steady with it the last couple days. And I told you last, and I was like, I know I just sound crazy, but like, it seems like I've gained so much weight already. And I know it's not actual weight. I think it's like the inflammation looks like I've gained so much weight.
You might be inflamed, but you're having more carbohydrates. You're probably holding more water.
Yeah. Maybe I just think it's inflamed because of all the other things. Like the headaches, I'm getting bloated again, which like that used to be just like my constant way of life.
Yeah.
And now I went so long without having it. It's crazy how much gut issues connects with my mood.
Oh, yeah.
Like I really notice, and maybe it's just because it's a problem that I had for so long and so consistently, and then I had a good chunk of time where I didn't have it. So then now when I have it, it's just like, are you kidding me? Like, it's so defeating. That's what it is. It's so defeating. And like, not only do you have the physical pain, but it's just like, you feel so weak. It's like, really? That took me out? Like, I can do all of these things. I can do all the workouts and do other things, and I feel great most of the time. But it's like, if my gut is off, everything sucks. Like you said, the tiredness, the headaches, the irritability. Like, I mean, I get angry.
Yeah. That's
and
me
it's just
with
like,
alcohol. Really?
That's what it is? That's all that it took to take me out? And yeah, you for that too.
Yeah. It's like at any time I have alcohol now, it's like I'm looking for all the problems the next day. And then I'm like, oh, that's because of that. Oh, it's because of that.
Yeah. Which I think that's a little extreme to be doing that. But it's like, if that's your thing to stop doing that, it's like, okay, who cares?
There's a lot.
It's like, you might be in denial or naive a little bit with it, but who cares?
Yeah, there's so much I'm probably searching for, or it's just like a coincidence or a weird day. But there's also a lot that seems like it is correlated. Yeah. And yeah, it's annoying. It's so annoying because like you just want to. It's that whole like you see behind the curtain, and now you just can't. You can't not see it anymore. And that's what I'm getting to with the carbs thing. So I'm like, oh, I just feel like more lethargic. I feel less like nimble, like going for runs or lifting weights or whatever. It's like I maybe have more power. Like I can feel like I have a little bit more energy, more power, and just the movements and everything. But it just feels like I'm like on the edge of I don't know, like something going wrong or like, you know, like getting hurt or rolling my ankle or I don't know, like things just like little aches and weird things seem to happen and linger a little bit longer day to day. And it's so stupid.
It's like what I said when I was a little bit like down in weight a couple weeks ago. It's like, this feels like what's appropriate for my frame. Like, it's not like, oh, I like how I look better this versus this. I like both. Like, I like being a little bit thicker and I like being really thin. Just the thinner side of it made me feel like I had more control of my body.
It feels like you're strong enough. Yeah.
That's what it felt more like. It felt more efficient.
Yeah. I've noticed the same thing. It's like there's less like tweaks and weird things that hurt or whatever. And then also just walking or doing movements, you're like, oh, I feel like my body is strong enough to do all these things in control and without weirdness. And it's what you said, efficiency. Like, you just feel so much more efficient. It's like, I'm not getting as tired doing this. I maybe can't do as much weight, but I'm not getting as tired. I don't feel as like, I have to work around my back because my back feels a little bit weird. And
I felt a little less clunky.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like I have a lot of power when I'm bigger and like I can, you know, push it a little bit more. Like, I feel more capable in other areas.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh yeah, like just, I'm not as like, jump up and let's go.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm moving a lot more body to do this.
I feel like when you think about too, just, you know, however long ago you want to go, it's like, it wouldn't have been efficient to be extremely muscular and, you know, it's like you were having to move all the time probably. You know, like you're going and hunting or even just like you're outside gardening and doing stuff outside and just moving all the time. That's like, it wouldn't be efficient to be 250 pounds of pure muscle and, you know, whatever. It's like, you really didn't need that. You needed to be able to have the endurance to go do a bunch of stuff that I wonder if, and how many of us are, you know, you go by the BMI charts. It's like, yeah, it's not the greatest scale or measurement to show health, but it's like, there's a way to use it and you can use it. And it's like, how much of us have been over the BMI scale? And it's like, yeah, it's not the most efficient to be this height with this weight at this age. And it's like, I don't know. It's interesting. We've noticed the same things of like, yeah, being a little bit lighter than we have been the last how many years. It's like, oh, things feel a little bit more easeful. I don't have many aches and pains. And it's like, no, I can't push the weight. I can't do that. But like, I don't have all these little weird tweaks and I feel so efficient, like you said.
Yeah. Well, and there's something to that too. Like, my natural baseline is a little bit bigger than it used to be just because I've been consistently lifting and focusing on building more. So like, I'm not going to go back to when I was like just bones.
Yeah.
Like it would take a lot for me to lose the muscle. So like there are certain parts of my body that are definitely, they stay that way, which I like. But for both of us, I think if we stop, like, we're not as consistent with maybe lifting, but we're still active in other ways. Like our body's natural tendency is to get smaller.
Oh, yeah. We both are.
It seems like our natural want or our natural like steady state is just a little bit smaller than if we're kind of going for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I just kind of let that happen, that's where it feels comfortable.
Yeah. Well, to go with the theme of what we're talking about, it's like, this is just all of our parents' fault. You know, if they didn't have the body styles that they did, we could have better body styles and not be in these shitty situations.
I mean, I like mine. I think it works really well. Aesthetically, what I like for like dancing, how many years? Like it was definitely a dancer's physique.
Yeah, not many men.
For you, no.
Not many men are like, I just really want to be like 5'10", 160.
Real narrow.
I just would love to be just like real thin all the time, short, shitty eyesight. That'd be amazing. Could you just give me like really bad eyesight by like third grade and then only let me grow to like 5'10"? That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that's the only thing like that. If I could like critique your looks just from like a part, like from a being with you standpoint, is just like, it'd be cool if you were taller, But the more that I
Slime.
learn about like, well, just because like I'm not short, but I'm not tall, but I'm not
No,
like
you're
we're
very
we're
average.
pretty close. Like it's not like, oh, you're
let's-
towering over me.
Okay, let's calm down there.
I'm not saying like we see eye to eye and I'm matching you, but it's
I'm
not like I
sure-
get to do this at
Whoa,
you.
whoa, wait. I'm sure you think we're eye to eye. I'm very confident you think we are eye to eye.
No. But it's like you're not towering over me.
You think you're taller than me. For
I
how
do
much
not
you look
think
down
I
on me.
am. Oh my god. No. If you think the way that I treat you is looking down on you, wow.
Wow.
I just sure. Okay. Okay.
That's funny.
But the more that I learn about like being tall, like taller guys, it's just like, yeah, but think about like their heart has to do so much more.
I don't
It's
think
like,
6-footers are worried about their heart.
okay, yeah, maybe not, but it's just like
You're
short,
talking about like
compact.
6'7"
Okay.
guys.
Well, just whatever I'm thinking in my head. It's like the more like kind of medium height, medium like stature, not really big in any crazy areas. It's like the efficiency. So it's like your health is probably going to last
I have that on my
better
side.
or longer, or, you know?
Yeah, I have the like very just average normal dimensions that'll help.
Yeah.
Like longevity wise of living longer and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if the eyes is the worst you got, it's like, that's pretty fine.
yeah, I feel like my hearing's already going though. Or it's just you mumble.
I mumble. Do you really think your hearing's doing bad?
Yeah.
Really?
I feel like I have bad hearing. Like I feel like I can't hear people.
Okay, but no, that doesn't make sense because why, when we're watching something, you're like, it's blasting. And I'm like, I get what? Like, it's at a regular or to low volume.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's more just like, kind of not like selective, but more like narrowed in. It's like when something's on, you're able to really focus on that, so then it amplifies. But if it's just like regular sound, maybe you don't hear it as well.
Well, and I feel like movies and TV, it's like they're I don't know, it's like the audio has to be clear.
So good,
or
yeah.
good, you know. But even in that, it's like, so it's not, I think it's this. It's not so much the sound. I don't do well at hearing what people are saying and like keeping up. It seems like, because even in movies and
yeah.
TV shows, I'm like, I don't even know what this guy just said. And I don't know what's going on.
So it's like, okay, so it's like when you read, it's like I can read the words, but I'm not.
Not comprehending well.
Yeah. It's
But
like,
now think
I
about
don't know
that.
what it means though.
Now think about that talking to somebody. I can't go back and re-hear them.
Right.
Now I'm
yeah,
sitting there
yeah,
going
yeah.
like, wait, what'd you say? What'd you say? What'd you say? It's like,
Do you think you respond quicker than you should? Like, kind of like, I feel like I do this sometimes where you will say something, I'll go, what? And then it's like 2 seconds later, my brain catches up and I hear you, but I already like verbally reacted.
sometimes, yeah, but that's something that I've tried to pay attention to where I'm not doing that. Because, yeah, it would happen and I'm like, I knew what you were going to say. Or like,
Yeah.
not new, but like I had to give a second to catch up kind of thing.
I'm sure there's probably like exercises that you could do to get better at that.
Yeah,
The
like
listening
pay
thing.
attention.
Well, not even paying attention, like, I'm sure there's actual things that you can do.
Yeah, probably.
Because I feel like they have that with like eyesight things or reading, like certain even like games that kind of works on that part of your brain.
Well, and I'm totally fine with people that I've talked to before or frequently, but it's like,
Because you're filling in the context clues, kind of.
well, I'm just used to how they talk and what they sound like
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. I think it's probably just, this is a very regular thing that everybody deals with, is it's like when you're talking to somebody new or you're watching a show or a movie that you know, are struggling to listen or hear people, is it's like,
Or like accents you're not good at.
oh, I'm horrible at
Yeah.
hearing understanding what they're saying. But it's like when you, with like the students at dance, it's like, I'll ask what their name is and I'm asking them like 14 times because I can't hear what they're saying.
That's so interesting.
Because they're saying their name, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. That's not a name. Or it's like they'll say, you know, I don't know. They'll say,
well, because kids also can't talk very well, so don't also blame it all on you.
well, and it is very like, when I'm like, hey, what's your name? They could be talking all class, but now that the focus is on them, they're like, my name.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Oh, yeah.
well, help me out a little here. I can't, like, you're whispering.
Yeah.
It's probably a very normal, it's like, it's hard to ask somebody their name and know what it is, especially nowadays. Like,
Oh, there are some funky ones, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's like every name has 3 names off of it that it could be too. You know, it's like,
Yeah. That's what's so tricky being like when I have a new class of really littles is because like sometimes it's just like how they're pronouncing their name is bad.
they don't even know their own name.
Yeah. It's like,
or can't say their own name.
yeah. So it's like I could be just saying it wrong this whole time.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you not listening or am I not saying your name right?
Yeah.
Like we did like you know, it started in a circle and I was asking everybody's name for question of the day. And one of the girls would just like, she's just looking at me and I could see her lips like kind of moving. And I was like, are you saying it? I can't tell. Like you're either just like being very quiet and shy or like you're not answering. And then I have to go to the other 3-year-olds and be like, what, does anybody know her name?
Right. Yeah.
It's just like, and they're just going off of what they think they heard her say one time.
Yeah.
And it's like, I heard 3 different versions of what that is.
Yeah. That's such a weird thing or common thing, which I get it. It's a kid, but it's like, it's interesting how kids are very quiet.
Some of them.
Some of them, yeah, but I've noticed that a lot more recently of just like, and maybe it's just the setting or the context, and it's like they maybe don't know these other kids as well,
Yeah.
or they don't know you as well or whatever, but it's like you ask them a question or ask them their name or something, and it's like, if you think I can hear you, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like you are talking like underneath your shirt,
Yeah.
turned away from me. Like you there's no way anybody in the world could hear you right now.
Then in that same class, I had 2 sisters come in, and she comes right up to me. Like she was the first one in the room. She goes, I'm Nora. I'm wearing pink. My sister is Charlotte. She's in purple. Nora in pink, Charlotte in purple. I was like, okay, I
All
didn't even
right.
ask you, but I was like, you either get this messed up a lot and you're just like, let's just clarify this right away.
Yeah.
Or you really want me to know your name.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, I didn't ask, but okay.
Yeah.
I had a little girl once, my first baby class ever, and she would always say her first, middle, and last name.
Yeah.
Always. It was like she just thought that was her name.
Right.
And like she would come into class and we're like, hi, blank.
She just gets yelled at a lot.
No, she was so sweet. Every time she would come into class, she'd be so excited that she would like shake. Like she would just be so excited to be there. And every time we were like, hi, say her name. She's like, no, my name is da 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 da. So we
She
just had to start
correct you
calling her
on
the
it?
whole thing.
Jeez.
She was like, she didn't understand. Like, well, that's okay.
Yeah, that's funny.
She was a chicken for Halloween once. And I asked her what she was going to be for Halloween. And she said a chitin. And it was one of those, like you said, like, what is it? What is
Yeah.
it?
And yeah.
And but you could tell she was getting so frustrated because she was like, I don't know how to say this any differently to you. Like, I'm so clearly saying it and you're not getting it. And I was like, a kitten? And then finally I was like, a chicken? She's like, like yes.
Yes, you idiot.
I was like, well.
That's what I've been saying the whole time. Yeah, that's funny. That's good.
That's good. Moving on.
Moving on. Well, I alluded to it earlier. It seems to be there's like a fun, and maybe it's dying out a little bit even now, but definitely a strong trend of like, let's blame everything on our parents type
Sure.
of thing. That I don't know, we have different views of or opinions of that we thought would be good to share, because you're kind of only hearing one side of the story a lot of times with that. And it's through this therapy culture, which has so many benefits, but a lot of the time it's like, I, I sound so anti-therapy on this podcast. It's hilarious. But the thing that I don't like about therapy is like, you're still dealing with somebody that has maybe not, we're all biased to ourselves. So you're taking that person and then telling them things or like giving advice and whatever. And it's like, they're still coming from such a biased point of view that now they like spin that whole deal, that I think a lot of this, like, well, my parents couldn't do this, my parents couldn't do that, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that is one thing that has been a common spin of like, everybody's just like, yeah, my parents fucked me up. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all my parents' fault. It's like, you hear it.
Or because my childhood was like this, that's why I can't do this and
Yeah.
be this way and think that way. And
You hear it
I was
on-
raised to think this.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know. We watch a lot of podcasts, and, you know, partially why we are doing one too is just, we love them, but you hear that all the time on all podcasts. Is just like, and it's just like the throwaway things like, well, I grew up in a household where this was, you know, it's my parents are this way, so of course I'm like this now, and blah, blah, blah. It's like,
Yeah. And it's not celebratory.
no,
most
it's
of the
always
time.
negative. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we just were talking about it one day and thought it would be a good topic to talk about, of just like how we feel about it, and how it just, there's so much blame put on parents now that it's like, as much as we preach how important it is to be a parent because you're going to affect them so much, there comes a time in your life where it's like, you're in charge now. You're not being raised by your parents anymore. And yes, they have an effect on you, but it's like, when are you going to take ownership of your life?
Well, and I think what kind of stirred this conversation, or at least was a part of it when we were initially talking about it, was I feel like we always like kind of test drive these conversations. That's the only reason why we have an interest in bringing it on to here, is like, oh, whoa, that we really went in depth on that, or we liked that topic. Let's, you know, whatever, film it. But we were talking about like how normal it can be for kids to question their parents. Like, cause we were like, you know, we have all these grand ideas for how we want to parent and what environment we want them to. Oh, because we were talking about like, where do we think we want to live to raise kids, and just like continuing that conversation, and how it is a luxury that we have, that we're getting that option to choose. But because we have the option to choose, like trying to find something that will really suit and support and lift how we want to raise kids. And then kind of going like, you know, we have all these grand plans and systems that we want to put in play and blah, blah, blah. It's like all of like the kids could just hate all of it.
Yeah.
Just like they could grow up and be like, yeah, I didn't like that you did that, or I didn't like how you did it this way, or I didn't like that this was really important to us, or whatever.
Yeah.
And
which is inevitably going to happen too. It's like,
yeah,
they're not going to like everything.
And like the positive of that, like,
yeah,
I was like, I hope our kids do that. I hope our kids have specific things about both of us that were like, you're struggling here, or like, you're not really good at that, or I don't like how you did all the things. That is like, I hope, to me, that is positive, because then that's promoting them being their own individual, and them in a sliver taking ownership for their life. Of, in order to do that, you have to analyze. You have to figure out why things are happening. Why did we choose to do that? Why did we raise them in that way, or choices that we made? They have to be able to not just put the blanket slate over of like, well, this is just what it is. It's like, no, it's not. This is just what we chose. There are plenty of people that live nothing like this that may work better for you, and you might actually really agree with that. It's like, so why would you not want the option to live differently, or to make those own choices for yourself, because you're able to do that?
Yeah.
That's like, I want it to come from a positive space and not blame. Now I'm just stuck with this. It's like, no, analyze and do it differently if you want to. You have the right to change it all up.
Well, and I'm sure we've all met people that I think growing up, there's more clarity on it, or you can see it more. It was like, there's some kids and people that like, they did everything their parents told them to do, and then they maybe have a realization later, like, oh, not all of that was right. And then there's kids that like, they will rebel against everything their parents say, and for whatever reason, those two things happen. That's like, I think we try to be realistic with that of like, let's try to cultivate something and make it very clear of like, this is what we like to do and what we think is important, but you're going to have like space to become your own person and be your own person. So that you don't get one extreme or the other, where it's like they're doing every single thing we say. And it's like, well, there's definitely going to be stuff that we're just not right about, or we think is super important, and they maybe don't feel that same way, or they don't want that type of life, so they're not going to choose those things.
Or hopefully they learn more than we know at that moment, and they can bring more knowledge into the situation and change it.
Well, and I think the sweet spot is just like have things that they can take that like benefits them in their life, and then they also have the decision or choice over like, I didn't really like these things, and I'm going to try to build upon that and like be better after that. You know, it's the thing that your dad always says of like trying, like you hope for your kids to do better than you.
Yeah.
And how can you facilitate that? And it's like, well, you don't be super overbearing helicopter parent or snowplow parent all the time and do that, but you also don't be neglect and don't ever look at your kids, you know, type of parenting. It's like there's somewhere in the middle where it's like, I'm going to try to show you the ropes a little bit of like what I think is super important and how you should maybe do things or live life, and maybe get to specifics of what you should do in that. But you're going to grow up and realize like you're your own person, and what do you like and what do you want, and giving them the power to be able to facilitate that and do that and actually grow. Because like both of those extreme versions, you just completely stunt both of that. The rebelled kid, it's like they don't get to see an example of a good, like how you should be as a person.
Yeah.
And then the helicopter all over top of them all the time, and the kid that just like follows everything their parents do, they don't ever get to think outside the box to see what they want to become or what they think is important and how to progress as a person. So it's like there's such an importance on parenting and how you do it, and we have our own opinions and views of it. But then when you put yourself into the kid's position, there's, especially now, there's such this culture of like, well, my parents just fucked me up. And it's like, that parent is going to lose the battle. Every parent has lost that battle. It's like, there's no parent out there where the kid is like, they did everything perfect. I wouldn't change anything. They're amazing. But it's sad how little of ownership any person takes of like, well, I also made decisions. Like, I didn't have to go to parties in high school and get it underage. It's like, that had nothing to do with my parents.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's like, as silly as that sounds, like, it is a 50-50 relationship. Like, with
Neighbors
your kid.
are home.
Yeah.
Neighbors are slamming doors.
That sweet lady. Like, it is a 50-50 relationship. And then you add siblings into the mix. It's like, yeah, you're all individual people that require different things, that maybe want different things, that, you know, benefit from different things as well. That I think when you keep blaming your parents for things, you now stop that process of evolving and being better. It's like, because now you're just like, kind of like you've set the standard then. And your standard is how crappy you think your parents did. So it's like, if you think they did a crappy job with you, that's now your standard. Your life will be about that. The way that you parent is going to be like that. And the way that your kids will probably parent their kids, or just be people, because you're not trying on your own to take ownership of how can I improve. You're just going, well, I'm doomed, because that's what it was. It's like, that's why I want to promote and show that to be a positive for the kids of like, I want you to question me. I want you to like make sure that you believe that because you think that, not just because I'm telling you that. As your parent, am I going to try to guide you as to what I think suits you best right now? But if you don't take things and tweak them, it's like, there's no world where we're going to do things perfectly. That's very rare. So it's like, if our kids aren't picking up on that or not, even just like, really like, okay, maybe it worked good for you, but you don't know what your kids are going to be. They might require different things that you did or didn't need. That whole system and that processing doesn't get to happen then.
Yeah.
If you're just pushing the blame off, it is like, then you're just going, I'm only going to be as good as whatever that low standard that I'm already placing on. Like, that's as good as I'm going to get then.
Well, it's like you're putting or giving all of the control and power that you have to your parents.
Yeah.
To where it's like, if you take ownership of some of the stuff that you chose to do, it's like you can kind of have some of that power back. It's like so many people blame their parents for every little thing, and it's like, oh, you have no power in your own life because you think it's everybody else's fault. So why would you think you can change anything? You think that everybody else dictates what happens to you.
Yeah.
To where you have control and you have power, but you have to be honest. You have to take ownership of what you're doing and realize that you're making decisions and choices. And it's like, it's crazy to me of like how many people it's like, you don't live at home. You're not under your parents' house, or you're not like, you haven't seen your parents in how many years, or like you have your own family and you're still blaming your
you're
parents.
the parent now.
It's like, how is your life still your parents' fault? And I think there's obviously some influence, and that's like, I think the part that I want to get across as we continue to go down, like, take ownership, stop blaming your parents. Like, there obviously is influence. The way that we talk about parenting shows you how much influence we think that parenting has. But now it's coming from the point of view of the kid, and it's like, you've lost all power in yourself because of you're blaming everything else and everybody else. It's like, yeah, no wonder everything sucks. Like, you think what everybody else does dictates you in your life. To where, take back some of the control, take back the power. You make the decisions. You don't have to let things affect you like that.
Yeah, and that's what I actually wrote down. I said, childhood trauma. At some point, time's up. If you are still blaming your parents or family, you are holding back any possibility to take a position as an adult. I think the more that you are blaming past people or blaming the people that you grew up with, I actually think it stunts any ability for you to
move forward,
or, like I said, like, take a position as an adult. Like, you have to make choices that show I am capable of not needing my parents around, or not needing guidance, or like even the option just like figure it out. That when you keep looking back and blaming the others, you are wasting your time or figuring out who the adult version you want to be. And you can't get to the version that you want to be unless you like blank slate yourself, which is hard to do. I figured that out over the last how many years of like analyzing, what do I believe? What do I believe because that's what I was taught through parents or teachers or friends? Like, what was influence, and like what was just influence for the time, and what do I actually think about that situation? And some of those, like, they become so ingrained, or just so like, yeah, that's what I think about that,
without a second thought.
Yeah, and it's like, well, even if at some point you did believe that, does your adult version think that? Mm-hmm. It's like, you almost have to kind of keep questioning yourself of like, updated version. Does that still hold true?
Well, it is. It's like, is this the child in me that's still, hurt, that's talking and thinking like this? Or is this the adult in me? And I think a lot of the times, I feel like the way that you can kind of tell is like, the adult is going to see the full picture and isn't going to have the extreme emotion about it anymore. They're going to have a more in reality point of view and be able to kind of be like, okay, this was probably going on, or this was going on. Mm-hmm. I can understand like why they maybe chose this direction and did these things or whatever. To where it's like, the kid is still the child that's still speaking is super emotional, doesn't understand anything that's going on, doesn't understand that this was the situation, and they're selfish and they're only thinking about them because that's all the kid knows right now. Yeah. As you grow up and you become adult, you start to get less selfish, hopefully, and you start to see the world a little bit bigger, a little bit broader point of view. And I think that can be a key way to kind of tell, like, oh, is this like child me still bitching and moaning about something, or is this adult me that has taken a broader perspective and is in reality more so now than I was then?
Well, I think that's even twofold. Like, that would be awesome too, to be able to reanalyze the situation and go like, I'm actually going to rewrite the story of that because I didn't have all the information. Like, maybe it even like, oh, I've never heard their point of view from that, and now they've shared as an adult, and I get where they're coming from, or I get why they had to make that decision, or whatever. I get where they were at in life because I'm now their age, and I can see why that's a hard place to be in. Or even if you can't see it as they should get any sympathy at all, like maybe even as an adult, you're on the reverse of that of like, oh no, I really see now where you messed up. Or like, I've been in that situation and I did not make that choice at all. Like, I can't rewrite that. That is still wrong. Still. So like, move on.
You don't have to let it, be a cloud over you. You don't have to let it, it's like, control you.
And I don't say move on and like just push it down and don't deal with it kind of thing. But you have a choice to not let that affect your life by changing who you are going to be because of that. It doesn't mean, oh, well, I had a lot of this stuff happen as a child, so now I'm just not capable, or I'm not emotionally mature, or I don't know how to handle relationships because I didn't get to see that, or I don't know how to be good with money because I didn't get to experience that, or I don't know how to be a good sibling or parent sibling because I didn't have a sibling. Like, whatever random thing it is, you still have a choice to rewrite your story right now. Blank slate, whoever you were as a kid. Maybe even it's you. Like, oh, I don't like how I was as a kid. Like, I sucked as a kid. I don't want to be like that. You have a chance to just blank slate. I'm a nothing. I'm a nobody. Now what? I can build myself from scratch again.
Yeah. Yeah, you always have the power to do that. I think people don't think they do. And part of it, I think, is they're blaming other people for the problems.
And that's what I'm saying. The more that you keep doing that, you don't have the option to rewrite your story or to start from a blank slate.
Yeah.
Because you keep bringing back from the past.
And to me, it's you're letting them have all the power now. They have the power to keep you this way, type of thing. That it's like, I don't know. I think it's difficult because it's hard to, point the finger at yourself and blame yourself and the decisions that you make or whatever. But it's like, to me, that gives you all the power now to change things for the future. It's like, if you're blaming everybody else for your problems, the whole world around you needs to be perfect in order for you to grow and progress and get what you want in life. It's like, that's never going to be the situation.
Yeah.
And it shows such a, it shows such a, like, level of arrogance too. That's like, you really think that your parents, there's definitely extreme situations, but putting those aside, for the majority of the population, like, you really...
Yes, there are definitely extreme situations that this is not what we're talking about.
Yeah. You really think that your parents tried to fuck you up or do things wrong or make mistakes?
Yeah.
It's like the arrogance that you have to think like, they should have just done this and done that. It's like, oh, really? Let's see you do it then. Yeah. And that's where I'm like, for parents that are doing this still, it's like, do you not realize yet how difficult it is to be a parent?
Right.
I'm not even a parent, and I can have some reality where I'm like, yeah, it's probably really fucking hard. So maybe stop blaming all of other parents for all of the, shittiness that's happening. It's like, it just shows such a level of arrogance and then such a lack of compassion that it's like, man, when you become a parent, or if you already are a parent and you're like, yeah, okay, I could see how, like, my mom would have done this or my dad would have done this, because they are they are frustrating me right now, or
Yep.
something is going on in my personal life. Like there's financial stuff, or there's this going on or that going on. That's like, really? Like, I need to play with Barbies with you right now? Like, do you realize we're broke?
Yeah. Do you realize I
need-
have shit to do around here that you're not going to help me with?
Yeah. It's like, we
And
have
that you
such
probably
bigger problems.
caused the mess up?
It's like how frustrating that probably is, where it's like, I have such large problems right now, but I have to deal with you crying because like you can't find a Lego. It's like,
Yep.
oh, what is life?
Yep.
And to not have any compassion for that, it's like, that to me is like, you're so arrogant. You're so selfish and so arrogant. It's unbelievable. It's like, wake up a little.
Well, and I think, I don't know, like, there has to be a positive to those situations as well. Like, and it is so hard to sometimes break those situations down. I get it. Like, I was stuck in that for a long time as a younger adult, of not just like, yeah, but that really sucked. And like, you still feel the emotions of it or whatever. But there's probably a lot that you can switch up the narrative, and as an adult, like you said, like, take the emotions out of it. Like, I will share, because we already talked about it on podcasts that won't come out, but it's like having a conversation with my sister, and you guys talking about like, what's it like to be the youngest of the family, and you're like, you know, you're to pick up the pieces, or you're the one that like fills in all the holes. And she's like, I don't relate to that at all.
Yeah.
Like, I was on the back of the train, just Courtney's chugging along, she's doing all the work, she's picking up all the pieces along the way, and I'm just chilling in the back.
Yeah.
It's like, I could be so resentful of that. I could be so annoyed. I could be so like, you got all the attention because you were da-da-da, you couldn't figure your shit out, whatever. It's like, yeah. And I could ride that to the end of the day and just like blame my whole life on that. Like, well, now that's why I'm crazy and get all the attention, because I never got it as a kid.
Yeah.
It's like,
And you use that as like, it's justified,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Versus like, yeah, I love that I was able to, even as a kid, show up for someone else. I love that I was able to like my natural instinct was
Take care of.
to take care of.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's awesome. Like, my biggest thing is I want to be an awesome mom. Well, if I was as a kid and just like deal with it, it's like, that's not very motherly. Like, that's not cool that you, it's like, I like to be a leader. I like to help. And like, that's to me is like the role of the oldest sibling, is to like be there and do all that. So it's like, oh, I'm so happy that even as a kid, I did that. So now it's like every memory that I have of like, wow, she really fucked it up. Like, I can just flip it and like, yeah, I got so much from being able to get pushed into those situations. It's like, now I could have rewrote years and years and years of negative into like, yeah, that made me a really strong individual with that. It's like, there's probably so many things that you can get from siblings, parents, experiences from being a kid, like the
Yeah.
traumas of your childhood, and like try to find the positive as like what it brings to you as an adult.
Yeah, well, and I think that's like switching it from the blame to that, like trying to, it's almost like hacking it or like manipulating it into like, how can this help me progress?
Yeah.
And stop being
Yeah.
stuck in that thing. Because it's
Yeah.
like, ultimately, if you're blaming something or doing something, and that's like, I always look at like, okay, if I continue to make this, have this thought process or have these actions towards it, what's the end result going to be? Mm-hmm. Is it going to lead me down like nothing really happens, or it's just going to continue to be negative? And that's how I see this blaming the parents thing, is like that thought process and thinking about it in that way and acting about it in that way. It's like, it's just making things worse. It's probably making you more and more resentful because you continue to like solidify that that's what you believe. And now you have a worse relationship with your parents as time goes on. It's like, who wants that? Or you can, do what you're talking about of like switching it to positive things and trying to like redirect what the story was and what the story means to you now, instead of the story meaning like my parents screwed up and this and that, let's blame them and it sucks. You're changing it to like, I found things that I know about myself now, learn about myself now, and solidified that. And what can I continue to take to make it positive and that sort of thing. It's like, it's just so silly to me of, you're choosing to just make this shitty. Like, choose to make it not shitty, because it's not benefiting you. It's not benefiting you to think of this in such a bad way and to blame people and to do all that. That does nothing for your progress and for like trying to get over these things.
That's what I like about life, besides the very obvious of like, you know, physical abuse or, you know, other things.
Like we said, the extremes.
Yeah. And even the extremes, it's like, I can't even imagine the long lasting trauma of that, but that's where it's like, that's so awesome that we have things nowadays and certain kinds of therapies that can hopefully assist more people. But in a positive of that, of like, hopefully those people are not in your life anymore and you're able to like weed creepy people out and bad people out, and you just have like a strong team around you. But what I was saying is like, even like there's always a way to make it valuable. Like there's not so much of a black and white when it comes to people. So it's kind of hard to not make something a positive. Like I was thinking like me and Kara, like we had very opposing experiences sometimes just based off of age. That's like, I was the first kid. My dad coached like all of my, like the basketball and the soccer and whatever. And so he figured out, oh, kids suck. I don't want to do this again. So that's like when Kara went through certain sports, he didn't do that. And it's like, I can say it's like, oh, that sucks. Like Kara didn't get that. But she saw it as like, yeah, but all those times coming home from dance when maybe mom taught you or dad was doing basketball with you, like you had to practice at home. You had to talk about it all the time, but like how to get better, because they were at your practices. They knew what you weren't good at. She's like, no one's keeping tabs on me, like until you coach volleyball. And then she's like, now there's attention.
Yeah.
Like I liked it better when they just picked me up. They dropped me off.
How was practice? Good. Cool. You just keep going.
And it's like, you could see that as like, oh, Courtney got the parent to coach or, you know, teach, and Kara didn't. That sucks for Kara. And she's like, no, you got the shitty end of the deal. It's like, you could see both as the benefit, just depending on how you want to look at it. That like, even the worst of the worst, if your parents truly did suck and they just maybe shouldn't have been parents and, you know, whatever, even that, as crappy as it may feel, can have a positive, because now you know everything not to do.
Yeah, totally.
You know every way to not be, you know, like there's almost like there is kind of a blueprint. I'm just going to do everything opposite of what I had as a kid.
Yeah.
And I'll probably do fine.
Yeah.
Like even that you can get something out of.
And I think, I think you still got to try to like, just not like sulk in it. So many people just want to sulk in it. They just want to, you know, drown themselves in all the negativity and blame and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I think there's things, I think the things like you said of like being able to change things to be valuable and to help you and progress you. I think some things too, you just need to like, delete. I'm done. Like I'm not going to let this matter in my life anymore. Yeah. Like whatever process that you need to do with that, maybe it's literally just going like, I'm just going to delete that. I'm done. It's like, just get rid of it, because what is it doing to help you?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, it's just cancer. Get rid of it. It's like, you don't need to try to change the cancer into something that's going to help you. It's like, just get rid of it. Be done with it. See you later. We're done. Yeah. Like this experience that happened sucked. There's no way around it. I'm just going to delete it and be done. Yeah. But I think people want to change it, or they want to hang on to it because they maybe don't know life without that, or they think that they can, you know, think they can take the advice that we're saying right now of like, try to change it into a positive and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, there's some things that it's just cancer. Just get rid of it. Be done with it. Move on. Like it's so it's so not worth it. But
Yeah. I think there's a
such
part
an
of people that
there's an
like to
emotional
identify
attachment.
with it. They like to identify with it, and that's such a not a concept I think that people talk about a lot, of just like start from scratch. It's like erase everything that you are and who you are, and like then what? Like rewrite on a sheet, I want to be this kind of person that thinks like this, and like as these are my traits. It's like you can just start working on that. You can start being that person and taking action towards that. But I think it's scary to let go of your identity of something and like who you maybe have been for a long time, especially if you do have a good relationship with your family. I think sometimes that can be like, I feel like I see this a lot, like with people maybe in the South, I guess, like very rooted in tradition, true too, that it's like they may really have a great relationship with their family, but maybe certain things just don't serve them in their current life, but they chalk it up to like, well, but that's who we are. That's like, that's who our family is. Or like I wrote down, like, that's how I grew up. Okay, but that might not just totally work in your new life, or maybe with a new person. Like maybe you're bringing someone else into your life, or when you're having kids, it's like, yeah, but that's like a separate version of you now. You can bring in elements of that, but it doesn't have to be like your whole identity. That's why it's like our kids are just an extension of us. Our siblings are an extension of this thing. You're not all one being. And I think sometimes that's hard to detach from. I think we see as like, we're all one. And it's hard to think of like, no, I have my own individual things. And then you feel guilty about having your own individual things. And maybe it's just like you like your family so much that you want to stay connected and almost like honor that, even if certain things don't maybe individually work for you.
Well, I think
Whether it's a lifestyle choice or jobs or something like that. Like,
I think that's where you just have to like not have so much attachment to it.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, I don't know.
I'm just trying to bring up a different point of view of like, maybe it's not always trauma. It maybe could be coming from something like super loving and awesome, but still just to like taking back the ownership of your own life and analyzing what works for you and that you are an individual.
Well, and I think that's what this, like, people that tend
because
to
sometimes they use
struggle
that
with
as an
this-
excuse as well.
Yeah, well, I think people that tend to struggle with this is like there's so much emotion wrapped up in what their parents did that's like, you need to realize you're your own person and you make your decisions and your life is based around your decision making. It's like so many of us are like, there's not a lot of 16-year-olds that are, you know, like they blame their parents. They're not like trying to get better right now, probably.
Sure. They're
That's
still
like,
in it.
Yeah, they're still in
They're
it.
like, I'm not able to like look back on this yet and analyze what I like or don't like. Like, I'm currently living it.
Yeah, that's like how many people are on their own now, making all of their decisions.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's like, take ownership, take control. Like, you're creating your life. The fact that you continue to blame other people, it's like you're not in reality. You make every decision throughout the day. What are we talking about? It's like, why are you even talking about your parents? They have nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
It's like you're still bringing up the past and have so much emotional attachment to it, and you're letting that dictate the rest of your life.
Well,
And that's like, it's negative. So now it's negatively impacting the rest of your life.
what really grossed me out about like when we started talking about this, and then I'm like seeing it a lot now too, probably just like the red car syndrome, is again, I go back to what I talk about all the time of like why I think I'm getting so crazy lately with this stuff. It's because like I don't want to be the parent that my kids don't look at as a capable person. Like, I want them to see me as like, she can handle anything. If you are a full-grown adult still blaming your parents or doing things, making decisions based off of their thoughts or what you think they would think or what they've done to you, it's like, why would you expect your kids to listen to you and to look up to you? You're still going off of someone else. So it's like, should they just start listening to the grandparents then?
Well, it's like,
because that's where all this is coming from.
Yeah, they're parenting from their reaction to how they were parented.
It's like, you're trying to build this kid's childhood. You're still living in yours.
Yeah, totally. And it's like your parenting style is just to stick it to your parents. It's like,
yeah,
that's not a parenting style.
Well, and you don't think your kids are going to see through that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's like, what kid doesn't hear their parents talking shit about their parents?
I think it's even more than that. Like, I
no,
think
it definitely is. But I'm just like, I'm just trying to like relate to everybody of like, yeah, we've all heard our parents like, yeah, your grandparents don't, whatever, this, that, whatever.
Yes.
It's like,
100%.
And they're probably right. But there's so many of them that are so damaged that it's like they're doing that constantly.
Yeah. I think kids are so smart. Especially, I think they're smarter. I think we get dumber emotionally as we get older. I know that seems so backwards, but I think kids are so keen on understanding people's emotions. Do I think they have their emotions regulated? No, but I think adults, we just do a better job of sneakily hiding it. I think kids are just like, I'm mad and you're going to see it. Why I say I think they're keen on things, I think kids can even pick up on little like how, what we just talked about of like, I feel like you're justifying this is coming from your emotional thing. Like, you're emotionally feeling this, that's why you're acting on it. I think kids can pick up on that stuff of like, this is weird, why are you getting so angry about this? That's random. And then maybe they connect it to, oh, well, every time she talks about grandma, it's bringing that up. And then she always says that grandma or grandpa does this. And then when that thing comes up, she's the exact opposite and like so extreme.
Right.
Like, I think kids are smart with that kind of stuff.
I think I almost think they feel it more than they can put it together.
Yes.
Because like,
but it still like stamps them.
Yeah. And then they react to that. It's like you said, like, kids see through the bullshit. And I think when you realize, I think when kids start to see that their parents are full of shit, or when they see that they're full of shit, that can happen
so young.
Huh?
That can happen so young.
Yeah. Well, and I think you start to notice it by just like, just the way they start acting. Mm-hmm. It's like they start rebelling on little weird shit or stupid things. And it's like, well, because they saw or noticed like you lying. Or you just like making shit up. And now that they don't feel like there's honesty in this relationship, they're like, well, why am I going to fucking be honest with you? It's like,
yeah.
But I don't think they are thinking that. I think they just are feeling like something is weird about this.
Yep.
And now I feel weird. So it's like, now I'm going to have weird reactions over here. Mm-hmm. That's why it's like, I don't know. It's like, if you can't give your kids a decent enough reason, I don't know. We've talked about this too,
well,
but I think like we are going to try to take more of an approach of like being very communicative with kids, that like, instead of just like, well, because I said so and this and that. And it's like, so why is it that you get to have Fruit Loops for breakfast, but you won't let us have any sugary cereals? It's like, well, I'm an adult. It's like, that's not a reason.
I'm a kid. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now what?
Are we just saying things that we
who
are?
we are? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would help a lot of that, of just being able to communicate, but then also being honest with yourself. It's like, yeah, why do you get to have the sugary cereal and they don't? It's like,
and that's what I was going to say was, I don't think people do that because they're not even honest of why they're doing it. It's just like an easy, like, And that's what I think people do with their emotions. It's like, it's just because I'm mad.
Yeah.
It's like,
And that's justified.
okay, so that's why you freaked out?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's why you had to do that thing? It's like,
I freaked out
you
because I'm
felt
hungry.
something? It's like, okay. Like the whole hangry thing. It's like, what?
Yeah. Grow up. What are we
Oh my
talking
gosh,
about?
you're so fragile. It's like, you're going to
Yeah.
let an empty stomach control how you are? That's like, oh my God. If like, that's where it's like, if I am like that, and then I have children that I'm supposed to guide and help become people,
Yeah.
they better not listen to me.
Well, it's like, yeah.
It's like, I would hope
please
that
rebel.
those kids are like, you're full of shit. And I'm going to call you on it. And you see it so young. And it's like people, like kids that, you would teach or we would teach. It's like, oh, you can tell what kids already aren't really on their parents based off of how they communicate with them and based off of like, you can just see the lack of respect. It's like, you're 2 years old.
Yeah.
How are you going to let your parent guide you through the rest of your life? And at 2 years old, you already
They
know,
already
like,
figured out the parent.
ooh,
Yeah.
something's wrong there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, that sucks.
Yep.
But again, you can take ownership for that and like continue to adjust and maybe like be honest with your kids about that.
Well, and that's where I'm like, it's just,
I'm going to try better now. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
When you're like, I'm eating Fruit Loops because I don't have the self-control to make breakfast and have it not be something bad, but I want you guys to be able to have that self-control. So that's why I'm not letting you.
Yeah.
And I'm having you eat something better. It's
Yeah.
like, well, then the kid now knows, and then you're embarrassed because you had to tell your kid, then now maybe you're going to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the honesty, it just brings out the real emotional feelings and the like we're all just trying to hide embarrassment all the time.
Yeah.
And we do it in these weird ways of justifying, or just like with kids, I feel like the common thing is just like, I'm the adult, we're not going to talk about this.
Yeah.
It's like, I said so go away.
Yeah.
It's like, talk about it with them. See how shitty you feel after explaining to them like why you get to have the Fruit Loops and they don't. It's like, it's going to make you a better person. But that's no fun.
Yeah.
That's no fun.
With certain classes, like with the younger ones, if they start like kind of going crazy or whatever, I will verbally say like, I've lost you. Like, you're not listening to me anymore.
Yeah.
And that's my fault. Or I'll be like,
Yeah.
is what we're doing boring? Because you're not paying attention anymore. So like, am I not being engaging enough? It's like, kids will be 100%
Are we over
honest.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
The next new thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I'm now going to get you back and I'm going to try. But like, I'm just acknowledging like, there's no like trickery here. I didn't do a good teacher right in that moment. And for the last 5 minutes, I saw a decline of, oh, they don't care. Oh, they don't care. Oh, they don't care. And now I lost you.
Well, and again, it's the ownership thing. It's like,
It's not, I had bad kids.
Right.
No, I wasn't being a good teacher.
Yeah. You're taking the ownership of like, I need to make this more engaging, or I need to somehow teach this better so that they are engaged and are having a good time and everything's cool. To where most are just like, yeah, my kids are just crazy, or these kids are just crazy. I can't handle them, or they're all over the place, or whatever. It's like, oh, so you're not taking any sort of blame or control over this. Like, you're relinquishing all control all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, nothing's ever your fault. Nothing's ever to be blamed on you. You never had it anyways. It's like, that's just not the, like, and now that trickles into every part of your life. You know, it's like, if you're doing it with all of the little things and the big things, obviously that's everything, but it's like, no wonder you like can't eat healthy, or can't get to the gym, or can't go for walks, you know, can't trust yourself to, I'm saying I'm going to do this, so then I'm going to do it. It's like, because you're constantly relinquishing all ownership and control all the time.
Yeah.
You're blaming everything else, or nothing is ever your fault. It's like, yeah, no wonder life is happening to you and you're not like in control of your life. It's like, because you don't feel like you can do anything. It's like, it doesn't matter if I eat healthy, like nothing's going to change anyways.
Because
like-
this happened when I was 5, so it's not gonna ever change.
Yeah, well, it's,
It's
like you've just practiced not
doesn't have anything to do with it.
you've practiced not having ownership and not being in control of anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would you then have the power to change anything in your life? It's dictated by everybody else all the time. These kids that are crazy, my parents that screwed me over, you know, my job doesn't offer me the opportunities that, you know, I deserve, whatever. It's like, when are you going to take ownership? It's like, you're not the most productive in your job, and you don't have a grasp over these kids in control, and you're 35 years old. Your parents don't tell you what to do anymore. It's like, what are we doing?
And that's a huge thing, is like with practicing the ownership and just having that blank slate of, I'm responsible, I'm responsible, I'm responsible, I'm the one to take blame always. It's so easy to like manipulate the situation to see like, okay, but I literally didn't do anything. It's like, okay, but still you have some sort of a control. Like if I say, you know, like take like one of my classes where I just have really like a bad student or whatever. I could relinquish blame and go, well, I know that parent doesn't pay attention to them. I know that they're not disciplining them. I know that, yeah, it's honestly not even the kid's fault. It's the parent's fault, because I see the interaction. I see how they are. It doesn't just end there. I can't just go, well, they have a crappy parent, so I can't do anything about it. It's like, how can I take blame? I'm clearly not a good enough teacher in this moment, or maybe I'm doing the best that I can, but it's still not enough because the solution isn't done. The kid is still sucking. So how do we figure out how that I can work with this kid? Maybe it's, where can I take ownership so then I can create a solution? Is it I need to talk to the parent? Is it I need to talk to, you know, the kid about why they're acting that way and figure out a system with the kid so that it works? Or I just need to keep trialing and erring. So even if they suck for the parent, they're not going to suck for me.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't give up until there's a solution.
Yeah.
And I easily could have just stopped at the parents suck. It's like,
Yeah.
and as a teacher of little kids, I see that a lot nowadays. It's like, even just in the short 9 years that I've been teaching little kids, the theme of parents has changed so much that it's like, I could just go, yeah, it's just going to be doomed. Kids are going to be bad now because parents are this way. It's like,
right.
Kids are the same. I'm teaching babies. They don't have a lot to get messed up at that point. It's like, we're not talking about high schoolers that they've had, you know, their own experiences, whenever. This child is 2 years old. They are just a reflection of their parent and what they're getting outside. So like, I still have a good chance of making this work. That there's got to be a solution. I can't just leave it at that.
I even think in high school, I think at all ages.
Well, yes,
you know,
ideally,
like,
yeah.
I've been on football teams, basketball teams that it's like,
Don't give up on them.
well, I'm playing with the same people on basketball versus football.
Yeah.
Or on sophomore football to then junior to senior. It's like, and it starts with the leadership of the coaches and everything, that it's like, it could be the same group of people in this class or in this sport, and then you go to a different one and it's a totally different culture. And it's because of what the coach or the teacher or the parent is doing. And it's like my mom doing daycare of,
Yes.
and it's like all of the parents would come in and be like, are they doing this? Are you doing that? And she's like, no. She's like, I don't really allow that stuff here. And they're like, what? Like how? It's like, are they napping? You know, whatever. Like, yep, they sleep like 3 hours for nap or whatever, 2 hours for nap or whatever. And they're like, we cannot get them to nap. It's like, my mom had such a structure and like a discipline of that too, that it was like, you're here, you're not going to do this stuff.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
End of story. And it's like that kid wouldn't do it. And then they'd go home and then they would do all that shit. It's like they figured out they can't do that here, but they can do it at home. It's like, you have the power, you have the control.
Yeah, and to see that still as like a win, and you know what we've talked about this year alone, we're dealing with a lot of different age groups, and it's so funny I guess the issues that are coming up with those age groups. And it's like, yeah, still don't give up on them. Like, I think so easily we can be, even as adults, like, this is just what it's going to be. I'm an adult. This is what it's going to be. This is who I'm going to be. Or they're an adult. That's my spouse. Or I'm dealing with the teenage kid and that's just how they're going to be. It's like, there's always the ability to change. And like you said, it starts with the leadership role. I think you have to start taking that into consideration with yourself of, I'm the leader of me. So the leadership from the top is what decides everything down below. I have to be a good leader to myself. If I'm still making myself an employee of my parents' company being like life,
Yeah.
it's like, what? You have all of the rights to give yourself a promotion and put yourself in the leadership role. Like, so why would you stay as the little employee that always has to take orders as an adult? Like, when do you ever get to go to that point then? Just start acting that way.
Yeah. Well, I think so. Like, to me, I try to take all the blame, which there's negatives to that, but at least it gives me the ability to change the situation then. It's like,
at least your side of it.
Yeah. If it's everybody else's fault all the time, you have no control to change it.
Yeah.
You have to change them now. And it's like, good freaking luck. It's like, that's not going to happen. But if I take the blame of like, okay, what am I maybe doing wrong here? What can I try to start with that immediately.
Yeah.
It's like, I had the situation at the studio the other day. It's like, I immediately want to go into like, they're not parented right, or this kid isn't, acting how I want them to, and all these different things. And it's like, okay, but where am I messing up? Because
their parents not here right now.
I'm teaching the class. This is my class. I'm in control here.
Yeah.
It's like, so why isn't it controlled?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's not up to the kids to allow you to control, or it's not up to the kids to just like easily like give you an easy time. It's like, I can't just blame everything on the parents and move on. That's not going to change or help anything.
Yeah.
Me going like, okay, where am I screwing up? Where do I need to be more on top of things, or relax in areas, or like, do I need a better structure so that things go seamlessly and there's not all this loosey-goose time or whatever? It's like, what do I need to do so that there's an environment and the expectations are set, and then we follow them? It's like what I was saying about the football teams. It's like, why is it on one team everything is very organized and like structured, and you're trying to do your best type of thing, but then on another team it's like everything's all over the place, everybody's blaming everybody else, and it's just a mess and whatever? It's like, it starts with people at the top and leading, and what did they set up? It's like, you can say that about your parents, that they should have done that, but it's like, everybody needs to be, like what you're saying, a leader in their own right.
Yeah.
It's like, everybody's got to do their job. It's like, if you're sitting there blaming everybody else, you're not doing your job then. You're sitting there blaming.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to like figure your stuff out, because I highly doubt you're doing everything you could do.
Yeah. Well, it's like, we talk about childhood trauma and like childhood. If you are so, and that's what I'm going to read this quote, like, if you're so, like I said, like, you're still living in that then.
Oh yeah, you're not moving on.
And it's like, your mind is focusing more on a kid's state of emotions and being and experiences. How do you think you're going to handle adult situations?
Yeah.
It's like,
In
yeah,
that same
life's
way.
going to seem really freaking hard for you.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with the capacity of a kid.
Yeah.
Life's hard for adults. Now you're doing it as a kid with all this baggage. It's like, you have the option to let it go. You're going to get more baggage.
Oh,
Life's going to bring you some shit. Get rid of that so you have some room.
Yeah.
It's like, at least then you can deal with the stuff versus it just piling on. It's like, your adulthood would bring you enough. The quote from the Marcus Aurelius Meditations, I looked up like ones about just like self-responsibility. And I like this one because I think it really shows the limitation of putting yourself in this box and not allowing to even take a position as an adult. It says, discard your misperceptions. Misperceptions. Oh, I don't like how that spells, but yeah, that's right. Discard your misperceptions. Stop being jerked around like a puppet. Limit yourself to the present. I like that because it seems such like a slam with saying puppet. It's like,
yeah, totally.
You're being controlled like a freaking doll by your past memories. It's like, even if that person is still in your life and still acting that way, they don't do anything for you anymore. You're not living under their roof. They're not paying for your stuff. Like, you are legally an adult now, so you have every right to, like, they're not controlling you anymore. But you're allowing them to just like, okay, I'll be whoever you think, and I'll let my whole life be dictated by you. It's like, do you want to be a puppet?
Yeah, and like how immature is it to still be like battling your parents at 30? It's like, at some point you have to realize like, oh, my parents aren't superheroes.
And I think
they're people.
Another part of the puppet thing that I liked is it shows the side of this that is just pure laziness. Yeah. You're saying, hold me up, to control what I need to do. I'm not going to take any ownership for my action. I'm not going to think about what kind of person I want to be. I'm not going to think about what kind of parent I want to be or how I want to be as an adult. I'm just going to let you tell me because I don't want to think about it. And then I'm going to blame you for how you're telling me how to do it.
It's like, you never lose. That's the situation.
Yes.
You're never at fault. You never lose.
But you never get to win either then.
Totally. So you're stuck in this weird middle area.
Yeah, that's all I got for that.
The last thing that I have written down for a note, I think there's something to like, I think we both kind of had a little bit of this of like wanting to prove people wrong. That sort of, which I feel like a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times maybe it comes to parents or whatever, that like, I was thinking about this of like, you're blaming your parents all the time. And I don't know, just that like, but you want to prove them wrong as well. And it's like, how much of you is proving them right by complaining all the time? It's like, yeah, they were right. You aren't doing this or aren't doing that and all these different things. And it's like, you continuing to blame them is just showing how you didn't grow up and gives them more of a reason to be on your ass all the time.
Well, when you think about,
you still need to be parented because you continue to blame them. Like, you're not mature enough to take take ownership. It's like, you still need to be parented. So you're proving your parents right that they still need to be on you all the time. It's like, I definitely don't want that.
Yeah.
That I want to be like, I don't want to be the puppet. I want to be like, cut the strings, get me out of here. So it's like, and I think that you do that by taking ownership. It's like, I'm going to be in control of my life. I'm going to stop blaming my parents for everything. And then maybe they'll get off your back a little bit too. Because it's like, hey, they're actually like being an adult, being mature and realizing like what they do has consequences and the decisions they make has consequences. And
I feel like I love when you see that with kids and parents, like just that. Because you can just tell the parents just like, wow, you really don't know. Like, it's like when you talk with kids, like when they're in a situation where they maybe like want something really bad and it's just kind of like, oh, well, if you can show me like, or like the whole, like, I don't need to take a nap. And they're like bawling and freaking out. It's like, you're showing me that you need a nap. Yeah. So you can say it all you want. You're showing me that you can't handle this and you need a break. Yeah. It's like, it's so clear. Not like, it's so clear when you see that in a kid. It's like, you're doing the same thing. Yeah. You just are using smarter ways to talk about it. So it seems like, oh, this trauma that I have, and you're using bigger words. Like, you're doing the same thing of that kid crying, saying, I don't want to take a nap. Yeah. Yeah. Like, you look the same, people. Yep. And your parents are just like, yeah, you're not ready. It's like, you still don't understand. Yeah. And what do you think if that's the way that your parents look at you, which sucks, but like that type of maybe weird control in that alone, like that's the kind of parent that's going to continue to tell you what to do then. They're not going to just go like, hey, you got to figure this out. Like, I'm done. I've done my job. Like,
Yeah.
peace out. They're going to be the ones that like, I'm going to still tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you how to parent. I'm going to tell you how you need to cook things. I'm going to tell you how you need to clean your house. Like, those are the parents that do that, is the ones that are, their kids are showing them they can't handle it.
Yeah.
And the parents are like, I'm going to take advantage of this. You need me still.
Well, and how many situations do you see too where it's like the parents maybe are finally like, you know what, I'm done. Like, you could just do whatever you want. And the kid is still like coming at them like aggressively of like, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And the kid is still blaming them for everything. And the parents are like, our hands are off and they've been off. Like we let you go.
Yeah.
And you're still coming at me, blaming me for current things. That's like,
I think
we let you go.
I think those are the parents then that go to their kids and like want them to want them.
Oh, sure. Like their grandkids.
No, like they go to their, like if they're ones that are like, oh, my parents said, peace out, I'm done with you. They're the ones that they parent their kids like, never not need me. You need to need me because these people don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I shall need them to know what to do because I can't be my own individual, but also you need to tell me what to do now. Like, you need me to like control. Again, it's like that lack of making your own decisions or whatever. But now you just turn from your parents to now your kid to tell you who to be.
Oh, and then the pressure of the kid.
And of course that kid's just like,
oh yeah, always. Like,
yeah.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Go to somebody else.
Yeah.
Sweet. I think that wraps it up for me.
Yeah, me too.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.